We're live. We're live, Matthew. Wait, let me hit record. Record. What is up, freaks? Welcome back to Rabbit Hole Recap. Boy, Marty Bent here with our good friend Matt Odell. Another week where I'm just a voice and you get to see Matt's beautiful face with the price ticker. But we wanted to do it live and we're here. Matt, how the hell are you?
Howdy, freaks. I hate the internet on April Fool's Day.
Yeah. I thought it was April Fool's Day yesterday.
I know you fucking idiot.
I legitimately, I posted the bet at 2:15.
I know we all got it. We all got it in our emails. We all saw the subject line, Marty.
Legitimately, like until somebody responded to that email. They were like, "Oh, I agree with everything you said in this piece except for the date." And I was like, "What?" I was like, I had to go check. And that's when I was like, "Oh shit, it's March 31st."
So you just wing it. You don't even like check the date before you mail out a newsletter.
Yeah, I mean, if you freaks couldn't tell, it's really by the seat of my pants, stream of consciousness, no editing, grip it and rip it.
I guess you're not like a big April Fool's guy either, right? Because you like woke up, you thought it was April 1st, but you didn't think it was April Fool's Day.
Yeah, I'm not a big April Fool's Day. I used to be when I was a kid. There was a couple in high school. My brother and I got our parents pretty good on April Fool's Day. It's lost its luster as I've grown older in age.
How'd you get them? Did like a specific time or just routinely?
There was a specific year where my brother and I really, really, really planned something out, like stayed up or like set our alarm for 3 a.m. We did the shaving cream on the toilet seat. We did the saran wrap on the toilet seat. We got both my parents. It was pretty epic. My dad went to the one bathroom. He peed on the saran wrap. My mom, while he was cleaning that up, went to the downstairs. She sat on the shaving cream. It was a good one.
I dig it. Yeah, I mean, in the age of social media, especially in the age of like Bitcoin hyper connectedness, it is just the most frustrating like 2 days of the year. I mean, like yesterday, and because it's global, it's more than just one day, right? I mean, like the Amazon of India announced they don't even, it's not even a joke, it's not even a prank. It's just they like send out a tweet. They're like, we've added Bitcoin to our shopping experience, so you can pay with Bitcoin now. It's just a lie. It's not even.
It's not even a good joke.
And then and then we have people like CD, which big shout out to a friend of the pod, Gigi, for getting hired by them, and they announced it today on April 1st. So you have real announcements mixed in with just straight up lies. It's extremely frustrating.
Yeah, shout out to Gigi for landing that gig and CT for landing Gigi.
Yeah, massive for both of them.
Two great forces joining together. Yeah, but with that being said, like it's a pretty weak April Fool's Day this year. I don't know if everybody's just dejected from the year that's been or what's going on, but it's, like you said, very low effort, nothing really good. I think everybody expects it now. Like the level of expectation of just getting fucked around with on the internet, particularly Twitter today is so high that it's like it's very hard to put out a good April Fool's prank on the internet and Twitter specifically.
Yeah, 100%. I just I don't know. It just feels like a lot of people just phone it in. There's not much. I guess the Teletubbies putting laser eyes on was like decent, but then they decided to go like the shitcoin route.
Yeah, what happened
like
there? I didn't follow it.
They added the Teletubbies added laser eyes, which is hilarious because it overshadowed. It got more engagement than Goldman announcing that they're going to start offering Bitcoin exposure, because it's just so ridiculous having the Teletubbies with laser eyes. So that was just a good intern somewhere figured that one out. But then today, like they announced, like I don't know, it was an April Fool's joke. They announced some kind of Teletubby coin.
Of course they did. Some NFT. Speaking of Goldman Sachs, I don't know if you have it on the list, but our boy Joe Squawk, Joe Kernan, just shitting all over Goldman yesterday. It was a beautiful thing to see.
I was going to use him for the clip for Dispatch next week. Like that was just a fucking most hilarious fucking comment ever. I'm telling you, he's my favorite Bitcoin podcaster. Joe Kernan over at CNBC.
Yeah, he's very high quality. I mean, just full on owning Goldman Sachs. Like, did you know the price was $4,000 last year?
He's like, isn't this supposed to be their job? Or are they aware? Are they aware that the price is now 55,000? It was 4,700 last year.
Did they not understand? Shout out to Joe. I know you listen to this. We'll bring you onto the TFTC network one day. We'll save you from CNBC. Don't worry. We're coming for that ass show. Let's jump into it. We'll start with Clark's dashboard. You guys obviously have the chart. What is that? Crypto Watch?
Yes, this is Crypto Watch. The top price is Coinbase Pro, the Evil Empire, and the bottom price is BISC.
BISC.
Free market, no KYC.
More than a 10% premium right now. 11. Is that up 11% in the day on BISC, or is that the premium?
That might be an all-time high on BISC right now, 64,000.
Interesting. According to Clark's dashboard, it's a little bit off from Coinbase's price on what you guys are seeing. It's $58,740. One cuck buck is going to get you 1,702 sats. Market is sitting at $1.1 trillion. Thank you for making that easy, so I didn't have to try and do math in my head with fractions. All-time high price is $61,760 according to Clark's dashboard. So we are just under $3,000 or over $3,000 away, $3,010 away from the all-time high, or 4.9%. I like this stat. I don't know if he just put this on or I've just been glossing over it. There are 1,373,716 Bitcoins sitting on corporate treasuries. That's 7.36% of the overall supply. Really eating into gold's market cap here. Gold has been dumping. Bitcoin's been holding steady and trending upwards this week. One Bitcoin is going to get you 33.9 ounces of gold. Bitcoin is currently 9.77% of the total gold market cap. We are currently at block 677,344. 88.91% of every Bitcoin that will be mined has been mined. That's 18,670,811.33 BTC. Let's get to the next adjustment, which is in 32 blocks away. So what will that be?
I don't know,
300 minutes.
I'm still stuck on the fact that $3,000 is 4.9% movement. That's pretty fucking crazy.
Right?
I'm sorry. I just brought us all the way back to percent away from the all-time high. About to either coil up or coil down. But either way, it's the stacker's paradise when it's flat.
Yeah. I hope you freaks have been stacking. I hope you miners have been stacking too, because in 32 blocks, there's going to be a difficulty adjustment. And currently, it's estimated to be a 6.3% upwards difficulty adjustment. I believe that should take us to a difficulty all-time high, and is going to adjust that much because blocks have been coming in at 9 minutes, 24 seconds on average since the last difficulty adjustment. So 36 seconds below, faster than the 10-minute block target. There are currently 56,988 transactions in Clark's mempool. Fees per block, estimated next block, are around 13%. Samurai Whirlpool still hovering in the high 1900s at 1,960.82 BTC, or 115.2 million cuck bucks worth of liquidity. Big Citadel dispatch this week.
Yeah, it's a really good one. Everyone should go give it a listen. I have really great guests lined up for this coming Tuesday as well.
Can you tease it?
A good one too. What?
Are you allowed to tease it?
I'm gonna have Waxwing and Belcher come on.
Oh,
of Join Market. Two lead maintainers of Join Market. It'll be a fun one.
Adam Gibson and Chris Belcher. Hell yeah.
There you go.
Check it out for Citadel Dispatch. Killing it. All right. Joe Kernan, we're trying to recruit you if you're listening. I don't know how much your salary is, but if you're accepting sats, let's come haggle. Come haggle with us. Haggle with us from CNBC to TFTC. So the transition you need to make. We're just going to go straight into front loading the vulnerabilities.
Yeah, that's what we do best here at Tales from the Crypt.
All right, let's get into a cold card physical attack. They discover this internally, correct?
No.
Oh, this is a completely different thing.
I spent the last half an hour with NVK prepping for this, but if you want to try and explain it first, and then I can come in and properly explain it.
So, pin replacement attack. A Twitter user by the name of Freedom Isn't Safe.
That's our
Freedom
boy.
Isn't
It's
Safe.
Lazy Ninja.
Lazy Ninja. He bypassed the pin on an MK3. So he's calling it an MK3 pin replacement attack. And so he bypassed an MK3 security feature, which prevented needing 100% trust in the secure element. Not serious by itself. However, when paired with a second attack on the secure element, it allowed for seed extraction if an attacker steals your wallet. And there's a video in this thread. So physical attack, need access to it. And it seems like they're able to extract the seed, which is a first outside of the ledger.
Which was the ledger was on the MK2. This is on the MK3, the most recent cold card.
Mm-hmm.
As the freaks know, it's our favorite hardware wallet. Both of us, I think I speak for both of us. It's definitely my favorite hardware wallet. So a couple of things to unpack here. First of all, this is very much feels like it's like a lab style attack, similar to the attack that you mentioned earlier, that Ledger's Don John did, right? So it's an expensive, intricate attack where you're actually physically extracting the secure element, right? And the secure element is what protects your secret on a cold card. It's covered in epoxy, right? It's covered in this like glue-like substance to make that extraction more difficult. So there's a chance that you damage the chip as you're doing that. On top of that, there's two vulnerabilities that it requires. One is the secure element version, and one is the bootloader. Both of those can never be upgraded after they've been shipped, right? The bootloader is hard coded. The secure element is literally a chip that is designed to do one thing, and that's to secure your secret. So the bootloader has been patched as of June of last year. So if you got a device since June of last year, not vulnerable. The secure element had been upgraded to the newest secure element, the 608A to 608B, a couple months ago. If you got that, you're also the other side of the attack is prevented, right? So basically, you have to have a device before then. The attacker has to be sophisticated. You can't have you if you have a passphrase, you're protected here because they're pulling the seed off of it. They still would need your passphrase, which isn't stored on the device. And if the device is a post-June device with the new version of the bootloader, even if the attacker does all of that correctly, and then they'll brick the device if the bootloader is the more recent bootloader. And there's no way for them to tell the bootloader until they've already attempted it. So it's the fact that the new MK3s that are out get bricked in this type of attack scenario kind of provides some kind of protection to the previous ones. So all of these things combined, and obviously you need physical access to the device. All of these things combined mean that I don't want to minimize the attack, right? But it's a less likely attack. Even if you look at our boy Lazy Ninja's thread disclosure, he doesn't even have a blog post. His thread disclosure, the last one is this disclosure is 40% for users and 60% for me to brag. So I think all of this said, you should still try and protect your devices. You don't want people to have physical access to them, regardless of the device. If you should have a passphrase on your devices, regardless of the device. It helps you with physical access and also helps you with plausible deniability. This is just standard, right? All those things said, still one of the most secure devices on the market, especially if you have the one after June. Now, speaking to MVK, he doesn't want people to be alarmed by it, especially if they're trying to, stack as many sats as possible and they have a bunch of MK3s they've already purchased. But if it does bother you, he's willing to offer a $25 discount if you replace your existing MK3 with a new one. But he doesn't want people to feel like he doesn't want to scare them into throwing more money into his hardware, especially when I'm sure he has, new awesome products on the roadmap, right? So all of that said, was that a are you confused, Marty? Did I do a decent job explaining it?
I think you did an extremely good job explaining it. Yeah, and I think again to stress what you just said, and this is something we've said many times on this podcast, is secure your device physically. Like physical security of these devices is paramount. Make sure that you put them in places where other people can't get them. You should be the only one accessing these things.
But still, like when you look at the threat models here, I mean, if someone has physical access to you and the device, I mean, a $5 wrench is way more likely. If you're using multi-sig, then you're protected from both $5 wrench and this. It helps mitigate both. You just work through the threat models. I mean, this is it's not a concern, but it should be. First of all, another thing is these devices, what are they, like $120, something like that. Like if you're storing a large amount of money, you should be upgrading your hardware frequently. Fortunately, Rodolfo and team over there, him and Peter over there, are constantly giving us new upgraded hardware, right? They added a new secure element. This is completely different than some competitors, which are still selling old hardware that isn't, you can just pull seeds off of very easily. So it is very much like a whack-a-mole type of thing, but it's good to see these kinds of attacks and disclosures because they make the products more secure. Even he teased to me that they're already working on using an even better epoxy just to add on top of all of this. So all these different little things will improve. Yes, it'll cost us some more money. I mean, I have cold cards of every single generation. So I assume Rodolfo is getting ready to take more of my sats.
He can take them. Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, Ninja in the last thing of the thread today, I just went to brag. I did something cool. If you watch the video, it's a very involved hack. Secure your devices. That is paramount. Use multi-sig. Geographically disperse your devices.
Use a passphrase.
Use a passphrase.
Which is the 25th word, freaks. If you don't know what a passphrase is, you have the 24 words and then you have the 25th.
Set up a dummy. You can set up dummy wallets within the code card. Again, this is particularly for if somebody ever physically accosts you in real life while you're with your device. You can brick it with a pin.
The number one thing you can do for physical attack is multi-sig. Number one thing you can do for physical attack is multi-sig in different locations. Consider it. Craig Raw on Dispatch made a very good point in that he's from South Africa. And for him, that is the number one threat model. And there's not a single thing that you can do that's better than that. I mean, I guess there is. That was kind of absolutist, but you should consider multi-sig.
Yeah, and it's an interesting conversation. Like how popular are these $5 wrench attacks going to be if Bitcoiners just publicly announce that they're gun owners, and how many attempted $5 wrench attacks that sorry, something going on downstairs, something loud. How many $5 wrench attacks that end up with the perpetrator getting shot in the leg need to happen before that risk gets mitigated?
Yeah, I mean, I think both gun ownership and multi-sig adoption are, two sides of the same story, right? The more Bitcoiners we have practicing both, the more protected we are as a whole, right? Because it won't seem like as opportunistic of an attack, right? If an attacker expects that there's a good chance that the person they're attacking has geographically distributed multi-sig and is armed, then they're way, way, way likely to even attempt an attack to begin with.
Yeah, fuck around and find out. Speaking of guns and Bitcoin, that conference is what, the 10th and 11th down in Austin of this month?
Yes. And tickets are about to go up in price.
So check that out.
Buy them if you're interested.
Shooting guns, learn how to use Bitcoin privately. learning about 3D printed guns, self-sovereignty in a conference. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it. But if you're interested, go check it out. Guns and Bitcoin. I don't know the website off the top of my head, but it's happening in Austin, the 10th and the 11th. I'm all over the place right now. I got to find the list.
I can't see the list because I'm screen sharing, and I have my ride or die freaks in the live chat over on my other screen over here. So
okay, how's the live chat doing? How you
there.
guys all doing in the live chat? If you're in the live chat, like retweet, like, share. Tell us whether or not you love or hate us.
Ben the Carmen's upset with you that you don't think his efforts to April Fools participate were good enough. He said he tried his best.
Very low effort. Very low effort. I can pronounce words good, Ben, you asshole. I mean, we've been talking about this for weeks, but it's finally officially official, signed into law. Kentucky signed the Bitcoin mining incentives bill that waives the sales tax on energy prices or energy costs for miners up to a certain limit within the state. Again, this is a data point in a growing trend that we're following and very excited about here at TFTC. States trying to incentivize Bitcoiners and Bitcoin businesses to come do business within their borders to produce tax revenue and to incentivize stoke in the local economy. So this is pretty dope. This is Kentucky. We've seen stuff in Wyoming. There's a bill in North Dakota that's going through the legislature right now. We had Francis Suarez, mayor of Miami. He was on the Compass Mining podcast. I believe they launched that yesterday or this morning, talking about putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet and the process that he needs to go through to do that. It's on his mind. He wants to do it. He's got to go through the city council and get them to approve it and all that. But we're seeing this jurisdictional arbitrage play out in real life here in the United States. And again, we're very excited about this trend because it is bringing us back to something that this country was founded on, which is strong states' rights and states competing for citizens based off the services they provide the citizens within their borders. So this is a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, I mean, I want more of this. Let's fucking go.
Yeah. And then beyond that, like newsletter yesterday caused quite a stir. I'm happy that you freaks liked it. A lot of people did not like it. But again, this vaccine passport thing, I think this is a line in the sand that we need to draw and stand firm against. And you're seeing some states, particularly Florida, Ron DeSantis down in Florida, saying adamantly, we will not allow vaccine passports within our borders. I think it's very important that we see individual states make a stand on this particular topic, because as I said in the newsletter yesterday, it may seem benign at face value to many people, but it is a step down a slippery slope that could end in some legitimate physical conflict between the state and citizens. Right. And it's a step towards like a social credit system and a CBDC wallet and all that shit.
I mean, in general, any kind of track and trace program is going to be a horrible privacy nightmare for the average citizen, this included. And the strongest part of our country is the fact that we have these competing local governments. So just across the board, it's really good to see that actually being flexed, regardless of your view here. I think it's nice, not nice. I think it's imperative that we have, differing policies and differing ways of approaching things among states, and that we have a free and open competition there.
Yeah. Let that competition heat up. New York, they're slacking. Slacking, New York. Pennsylvania, slacking. New Jersey, slacking. All states that your boys lived in. And Uncle Marty's, yeah, I'm not so sure how I'm going to stay in the Northeast for too much longer. If we get the Tom Wolfs, the Mayor Kennys, the De Blasios, the Cuomos of the world keep their tyrannical, idiotic policies up, you're going to lose citizens. You already have lost citizens. Keep it up. Mess
I,
around and find out. You're going to lose all your best tax revenue
this is
providers.
the first time. I mean, not the first time, but more so than any other time in history that that the citizen base is the tax base is so mobile, right? That they're able to move so easily. Um, and for a lot of people, some people are unfortunately too poor to be able to exercise that. But for the overwhelming majority of people, they're more mobile than ever. So hopefully that will mean more competition. But
Yes.
what that does mean is these are not, and it's kind of similar to Bitcoin in that regard, that the governance system is not a very clean governance system. Um, it's way worse than Bitcoin's governance system because Bitcoin's governance at least is like extremely hard to change. With our local politics in general, what it usually seems to be is we go horribly in one direction, and then it's going to take years to decades to move back to a reasonable thing, right? It's like it's not an instant process, unfortunately.
Oh, God, I want to stay on this vaccine passport thing real quick. Like the well health safety sticker. Have you been
So is
watching the
that like a
tournament?
no? I haven't been watching the tournament, so I've missed all the. I saw like a commercial on that our boy Liberty Blitz posted on Twitter.
How
Is that
crazy is
who
it?
is that like a that's like a private organization, right?
Yeah, but
It's like it's global
it's
ish.
yeah, it says global international well health safety. It seems like something I wouldn't be surprised if like the World Economic Forum or like that type of the Davos crew has their hand in it to some degree. The commercial, like my wife and I almost dropped her name. We're watching it. We were watching the tournament on Sunday, and a commercial came on. We are both like, "Is this real?" You have like Jennifer Lopez, Lady Gaga,
When they
Robert De
bring the
Niro,
celebrities in, it makes it so much creepier. Like, they're that out of touch,
right?
It's
And
like
it's
because
like
they think the celebrities will convince us.
right. It's like, "Hey, pleb, I'm a celebrity. I'm famous. Look for the seal." But the crazy thing about it reminds me of those chop up shots of like the local news station saying like this is bad for our democracy,
Right. But that is
like
just one
repeating.
company, right? That owns like all the
Yeah,
local
but
news
that's the
stations.
thing, the way this commercial is set up, you literally had four celebrities in a row say look for the seal, look for the
Right.
seal, look for the seal, look for the seal. It's like just that repetitive like MK Ultra repetition to force actions. It's very creepy. And these like what are these J Lo, De Niro, Michael B. Jordan, Lady Gaga? You hang out with that weird Satanist Abramovich, whatever her name is. Like I don't trust these people at all. And you had like chefs in there too. And again, like I said in the newsletter, it starts with that. Like, hey, look for the seal. And then it's like, hey, if you're gonna go into a restaurant with the seal, make sure you have your vaccine passport and it better be flashing green before you walk in. If it's yellow, get the fuck out of here. And then it's if you're a business without the seal, you got to shut down until you get your certification, or we're going to tax you a bit more.
Well, to I mean, the businesses that exist in the places that are going to force the seal, they've already gone bankrupt. Uh,
Right.
Unfortunately. But like if you're a bartender that was making a lot of money in New York City, like you live in Miami now. Like you don't live in New York City anymore. You're not making any money. You still haven't made any money for the last fucking year, 2 weeks to flatten the curve or whatever, right? I think the celebrity thing is always like a really weird kind of influence move. Um, but what's really been interesting to me is the peer pressure effect, especially from like family and friends. Uh,
Oh,
where
it's
they like kind
strong.
of where they like kind of like insinuate, like, have you gotten it yet? Like, why haven't you gotten it yet? You know, or use this website to track where you can get them.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really creepy. It's
That's a
happened.
way
Yeah.
stronger influence than a celebrity, right?
Oh, believe me, I know. I mean, my family. Have you gotten it yet? Nope. Yeah. It's the last thing we'll say. I'm a healthy 29-year-old adult. Never gotten the flu shot. Never gotten the flu. I haven't gotten COVID yet. I don't think. I got a cold. Maybe it was COVID. Took me 3 days to pass. I'm not taking an experimental mRNA vaccine that literally hasn't been tested. Like, there hasn't been enough time to test the long-term effects on this. I'm sorry. I'm not willing to take that risk. I will risk getting COVID over taking the vaccine.
Yeah,
Say it loud and I'll say it proud.
I think it's important to realize like this is not like an anti-vaxxer position. Vaccines are a very important medical advancement that we have fighting viruses. But it is pretty crazy that the same people that first told us that masks don't work and that we should go eat at Chinese restaurants and then said masks do work and that we must wear them are now saying like take the vaccine and absolutely trust us, you know, when they use like this experimental method, as you said, to do it. So yeah, and especially when we're we're healthy individuals. So it's living in a very unhealthy society. So
right?
the double think all the time is like really frustrating. And there was one thing that you really nailed on that bent was taking a nuanced topic and making it black and white is like a very effective tactic. And hey, Bitcoiners, we see that a lot in Bitcoin land as well.
It's true, right?
Should we do shout outs?
Yeah, let's get into shout outs. Stay strong. It's I mean, but again, like I'm like we're somewhat pussyfooting around this because it's like, oh, like because we don't want the backlash. But you know what? We have to talk about this. It's time. Like Michael Krieger said, like I said in the newsletter, strong men and women need to step up and speak sanely about these topics and speak their minds and how they feel. Don't be afraid to say what you feel. There are other people out there like that.
DeSantis made a very clear point that I think should be restated. And I definitely do not agree with everything he says. But I agree wholeheartedly with this. The idea that the goal should be to get access, easy, accessible access to the vaccines, all the brands, to as many people who want them. Everyone who wants them should be able to get them for cheap. They should be able to get them
Completely
ideally
agree.
for free, very easily with no friction. But there should be no mandates. Period.
Completely agree. Completely agree. If you want it and you're willing to take that risk, again, free market, free society, do what you want. Just don't force it on me and force me to flash a passport to go
passport
into
can go
businesses.
fuck itself. We're not going to do that. And DeSantis actually mentioned that too. He was like, you're going to trust these corporations with protecting your data. They can't protect our data. And that's always going to, I have a hard line on that as well. So,
yeah. First shout out. It's supposed to be the audio from the Houston Bitcoin meetup. Nobody ever sent me the audio.
I have the audio right here. I can play it for the freaks after the shout out.
Okay. I mean, I think it's just like a placeholder.
Okay. Should I play it?
Yes.
Tell me if you can't hear it.
What's up, freaks? It's David here at the Houston Bitcoin meetup. Big thanks to Owls Lacrosse and Jeff for putting this together. Happy to be the first audio shout out on TFTC. I'll pass the phone around to a few people and let them say something.
What's going on, everybody? This is Scotty. What the hell is next pub, mate?
What up, freaks? It's Phil Gibson. Have fun staying poor, and maybe get a stat fundraise so we can send Marty to speech therapy.
God damn it, Phil.
This is Ben the Carman. I don't know what to say and think about this, but go buy some Bitcoin.
What's up, freaks? It's Owls Lacrosse. Bent, we expect to see you here soon. You're always a crappy lacrosse player, but we're proud of you for all your oil field mining, making sure that the oceans don't boil like that bastard Nick Carter wants to do to everybody.
I've been like, listen.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Shout out to our Houston freaks. I love that. I want more of this. And Matt, like if you would have sent that to me, I could have put this on my Roadcaster and played it like clearly.
I completely forgot, but I had it ready. So
Well,
that's the RHR special right there.
yeah. I think this is time for me to put my hand up and say maybe I can't pronounce words too good. Maybe my geography is not as good as it should be either. Slight mix up last week on the location of Houston in comparison to Austin. I got Houston and Dallas mixed up on the fly. That's on me. And actually, one of these shout outs really calls me out on it. You know what? Hand up. I'm going to eat it. I don't think it's this one, but you'll hear it in one of the shout outs. Next shout out. Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. It would be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity, that's a good word, may at some point be satisfied. But those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience. A C.S. Lewis quote. Peace and love, once and future. P.S. TF golf tourney, Sunday after bit block boom, ? Maybe is that the date? The date of our golf tourney?
No, we are not playing golf in Dallas in August. That's going to be fucking miserable.
Yeah, it's too hot. And we're going to be way hungover that Sunday, I imagine.
It's going to be too fucking hot, freaks. This is the one thing the Northeast is good for. It's like nice temperate golf.
Yeah. David, I'm seeing the YouTube comments now. We're not going to golf in Dallas at the end of August. Too hot. We'll be too hungover. It'll be a terrible, terrible time. We're going to figure it out. We'll probably do it in the Northeast. David H. I didn't see your tweet asking for an email address. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, but I made it happen.
Thank you.
That's why the freaks have two parents just in case one of them lets them down.
Hopefully both of us never let you down at the same time. All right, here's the one calling me out. Matt, you get thrown into this too, but I was sort of gaslit you a little bit last week, so I'm going to take the brunt of the responsibility for the geography mix-up. Appreciate you, Marty and Matt. In last week's RHR, it was ironic you guys dunked on blue checks for the ignorance of Middle America, yet struggled with Middle America's geography and even basic terms for pork production. Be better. And shout out to Susie, who stacks sats working in a shoe shine shop. Where she shines for sats, she sits. Where she sits, she signs for sats. Love at Basic Huddle. Hand up. All right. You want to call me out? I'll take it. I'll eat it. Fucked up my geography. Maybe it was a bit hypocritical or ironic, as you called it. I don't know if it was ironic or hypocritical or both. What would you say, Matt?
It was mostly ironic, especially since you say you're going to move to Austin and you're going to go check out. You're about to go down there. But I guess I have to own the pig raising, right? What I'm pretty sure I said on last RHR that it's called nurturing a pig. But obviously that was a joke. I don't really know what raising pork is called, the vernacular for raising pork. I guess the freak's not going to tell us either in the shout out. He's just going to talk shit about me never nurturing a pig in real life.
I didn't know there was strict vernacular for
apparently there
pig
is
rearing.
Apparently according to this freak. And he paid the sats, so it's truth as far as I'm concerned.
Is it pig rearing?
No one knows. Freak, if you want to send another shout out next week and let us know how we should refer to nurturing pork in the future, let us know.
I do want to own a farm one day, so I'm very interested to know. There's a farm by us down here, my village by the sea. They raise mainly pigs and chickens. And the pigs are so cute. They're like spotted pigs, and the pork is incredible. My wife made a ragu with a pork shoulder the other week. It was the best ragu I've ever had, restaurant or homemade.
The live chat is telling me that the proper vernacular is raising pigs, and I just cannot accept that. I think there's probably a better like slang that we can learn on the pod.
Raising pigs? What do you do with chickens? Tend
You
to
just
them?
raise them. I guess we're just raising everything. We're raising goats. We're raising chickens.
Raising kids?
Nurturing children? I don't know.
The mother certainly nurtures. All right, this is a 2-part shout out. Pretty intense one. Ian Freeman and 5 others were arrested on March 16th for free speech violations using Bitcoin. Ian and Nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul, are still caged, being denied bail. The feds are calling them criminals based on the king's disapproval of the way my friends exchange value. I say free speech because they're accused of using Bitcoin. Bitcoin is only words. A thought, an idea, can't touch it, eat it, build a house out of it. It is an intangible thing, only an idea. Outlawing/criminalizing Bitcoin makes the use of Bitcoin a thought crime. Ian Freeman is directly responsible for thousands, if not tens of thousands of people moving to New Hampshire in search of more liberty and like-minded people. Ian and Nobody both are hosts of the nationally syndicated radio/internet show Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live has been and still is a beacon for freedom and liberty. My friend Ian Freeman is a hard fucking core, nonstop machine of a liberty activist. The state is using this bullshit legal land mumbo jumbo to keep him in a cage. Continued. I gotta find the second part of this. I'm going to the wrong one.
I thought you disconnected, but you're just being a boomer.
I am being a boomer. Wait a second. There was a second part to this. I can't find it now. Being a complete boomer.
You know, freaks, when Marty sends a text message, he only does speak to text.
I'm sorry. Whoever sent the shout out, I can't find it right now. It was here this morning when I looked it up. Let me
Marty's such a boomer, he only pays cash at tolls.
Oh, that's actually a good move. You should do that. And that was weird. I don't know why I did that. Oh, because he just sent a $50 transaction. It was a shout out item code. DJCs, if you're listening, got to figure something out. Just as they were with Ross Ulbricht, Ian Freeman is the most peaceful person I know. His home and church were raided violently by the feds. They used a drone, flashbang grenades, and multiple heavily masked armed soldiers to enter his home early AM earlier this month. I owe a lot to Ian Freeman for where I am and what I do in Bitcoin today. You guys have a far-reaching audience. Please share the story and what is being referred to as the Crypto Six. Stay cool as fuck, and I greatly appreciate your time. From GM. He wants us to point freaks at the site freekeen.com. It's FREEKEENE.com. I went to it, and it's got a YouTube video of somebody who showed up to Ian's house the morning, early morning it was, where it was being raided and he was being arrested. It was a weird scene. The FBI showed up, a lot of heavily armed guards. That's as far as I went to doing research into exactly what happened. So I'm just going to take the freak who purchased the shout out's word for it, and that they're being arrested for something related to a Bitcoin transaction.
My understanding is they're Bitcoin OGs in New Hampshire, and they have a podcast. And they, to be absolutely clear, they were not on my radar until after the arrest. I see Bitcoin podcasters get arrested, and I, perk up and I read. I didn't look into both sides of the story, but the state's case is that they were operating a fiat to Bitcoin exchange business under the table and not doing KYC AML checks. But I don't know more than that. That is what the state is claiming. That is what the charges are.
Yeah.
From my understanding.
It's pretty fucked that they don't have any bail.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they don't have bail or not. But if this freak is saying that, then yeah, that is pretty fucked.
Yeah. Well,
that's gonna be a common theme, I think, with Bitcoiners, right? Because they're gonna claim that were more mobile than non-Bitcoiners.
What's the common claim going to be?
They did the same thing to the Ethereum guy with the North Korea thing.
Aiding and abetting a foreign entity?
The claim that no, because the reason Bitcoin is such a better money that it's so super easy to move around the world, you know.
What I'm trying to get at is, are we in danger, do you think? Are we doing anything?
No, we're not. Marty, are we doing anything illegal?
No. I hope
Okay,
not.
so no, we're not.
Unless we're spreading wrong thing becomes legal.
We're not doing anything illegal. And I have full faith in our justice system that that'll be the case.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who sent Bitcoin to us can check. We've never moved it. So bought merch, bought shout outs, bought anything. Matt just gave a sick wink to whoever's looking at him in the room.
Fuck, I thought you I never know when my screen's up or when it's blank.
Well, yours, I could see you the 24/7.
Oh, so they might not have seen it. Only you saw it. Gotcha. Okay. Do we have any more shout outs?
That was shout outs for the week. Thank you, freaks, for the shout outs. One of our favorite parts of the show. If you want to purchase a shout out, Bitcoin only, tftc.io/contribute. The site's having the site has always just been like not a lot of effort into. I don't want to say not a lot of effort, but it's just a placeholder for content. Never really tried to drive too many people there. All-time high action in terms of people visiting the site recent weeks.
Freaks.
It's going up.
Every time before you do your daily internet activities, just do a quick tftc.io enter and just inflate our numbers.
Yeah, but it's not like we do it. We don't sell ads on the site or anything like that.
Right. There's literally no bragging rights.
Yeah.
It makes Marty feel. Marty has a pep to his step if you do it. So
yeah,
consider it.
I get to show my father-in-law, hey, look, people read my stuff. Your daughter married good. Don't worry. Back to Bitcoin stuff. Really big news. It's been great to see these two gentlemen hanging out in El Zante, El Salvador. Jack Mallers. Jack Mallers and our boy Miles Suter have been hanging out down there for a while.
Kings.
Seen pictures for weeks now. Both looking swole as fuck. Yo, gentlemen, send me your regiments, whatever you're doing to get a swole. And it seems like Jack is putting a crescendo on his trip by announcing that Strike launched in El Salvador without banking partners. So that is the second country that Strike is available. Is El Salvador.
Love to see it.
Right.
This is what I want to see more of. I want to see more of these developing countries that really need it. They really need Bitcoin. Fuck the developed world. Let's go where it really matters first. I think it's really cool aspect to this that the banking partnerships on the US side is what was really important for these users, because El Salvador is one of the highest remittance countries in the world. So it's really people with US bank accounts using Strike to send Bitcoin to El Salvador. Which really showcases the power of Bitcoin. Like, he doesn't even need to have banking partners in El Salvador for it to be an extremely useful tool for people. And I've been very supportive and very grateful for the work at Bitcoin Beach in general. And now you have all of these merchants down in Bitcoin Beach that accept Bitcoin for goods and services. So these people don't even have to convert into the local El Salvador money in order to spend that Bitcoin that gets sent down to them.
Yeah, it's a pretty beautiful thing to see. Everything is going on with Strike and El Zante. Miles being down there for so long. And so that's another thing. Miles has been down there for a bit.
He's never coming back.
I don't think he's ever coming back. He's ingratiated himself with the community down there, particularly the surfing community. And so actually it's a pretty tragic story. The best women's pro surfer, I think she was on the Olympic team for El Salvador. she was struck by lightning and killed a couple of weeks ago. And they're actually going to be doing, while she was in the water, and they're going to be doing a Bitcoin fundraiser in honor of her. I've seen a video. I don't know if it's been posted publicly yet, but be on the lookout for that. So a bit of a shitty situation that happened down there, but the Bitcoin community is going to rally around the El Salvador, El Zante community specifically, and hopefully provide some good. So be on the lookout for that fundraiser at some point in the future. I'm pretty jealous though of Miles and Jack just living the swole life, surfing down there. The waves down there look incredible. I need to get down there. I've only been to El Salvador once, and it was for a layover.
I think Bitcoin Beach might be the first citadel.
Right? Maybe.
Like they're just, they're just trying to encourage all these Bitcoiners to come down there and set up shop. I mean, I know they chirped at us at one point that they had a plot of land ready to go. I dig it. I fucking love to see it.
Right? I would buy Citadel land down there. God.
I love everything they're doing. Go follow Bitcoin Beach on Twitter. Retweet all their shit.
Yeah. If you guys want to figure out, if you're like, what the hell are you two talking about? If you're new to the podcast, actually recorded an episode with the founder of Bitcoin Beach, so go check that out. Azteco, our boy Beauty on adds lightning. It's been beautiful to see. She's been posting screenshots of people buying $1 worth of Bitcoin and receiving it via lightning.
Add it to the list of why I hate April Fools.
Why?
Because I thought it was an April Fool's joke at first.
No, he's been posting these for like weeks.
Yeah, well,
like a week or two now.
There's me. I got tricked.
Yeah.
But that's fucking awesome. I mean, it's a perfect fit. They're using LNURL, which is this standard where you can scan a QR code to withdraw. And a bunch of wallets already support it. Breeze already supports it. Phoenix already supports it.
Wallet.
Blue Wallet supports it, but Blue Wallet's custodial. So like it's really fantastic to see in a high fee rate environment. It's perfect for these vouchers, So Azteco, their business is they have supporting merchants around the world. You pay the merchant gives you a printout code that's a voucher to claim Bitcoin. You scan the code and the Bitcoin goes to your wallet. Previously, that has been on chain through partnerships, and now they're using this LNURL standard. I guess you can do one or the other. You have a choice. And if you do the Lightning, you have reduced fees.
Makes sense. Another podcast I listened to this week was Ryan Gentry, biz dev lead from Lightning Labs, on Preston Pish's podcast. And they had a part of the conversation where they talked about onboarding people directly on the Lightning. And it really makes a lot of sense for a lot of people, especially buying lower amounts of Bitcoin. Lightning is probably the smartest way to onboard them. And these products, like the one Azteco just launched, make it extremely easy, straightforward. And the beauty of Azteco too is it's non-KYC, right? You just show up, you get a voucher, and you're able to send Bitcoin directly to a wallet that you control. So it's pretty beautiful.
Azteco is not inherently non-KYC. They just push the KYC requirements onto their individual resellers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, would you say that's like BISC?
No, I mean, BISC is an attempt at a proper distributed protocol. Azteco is a centralized company that appears to mean well, but has to operate under the regulatory restrictions that other centralized companies are forced to operate under. Otherwise, they'll be thrown in jail. And for better or worse, probably for better, as long as the trade-offs are disclosed to their partners properly, they push that liability onto their partners rather than them deciding unilaterally. So it's a little bit more distributed in terms of, who has to make that final decision. But but regulators can easily, force KYC in those. Maybe not easily, but they can force KYC onto those individual merchants that are selling the codes. And me personally, I would never sell those codes without KYC. Like you're just putting a big ass target on your back. But yeah, I'm not trying to FUD that company. I appreciate everything they do. I think it's a really cool. I think the voucher idea is perfect for Bitcoin adoption. This idea that you can walk into like any bodega and get $50 worth of Bitcoin, like that's the future I want to live in. I think it's a perfect fit.
I was a very proud brother last night. I got a text from my brother. It was just a picture of a Bitcoin ATM. He's like buying Bitcoin the old school way. Brought a smile to my face.
Yeah, Bitcoin ATMs are still underrated. On the buy side, a lot of times the KYC isn't that high either for those. And it's the same thing. Like the operator is who's liable for it. But like a lot of times, like on the buy side, it's just a phone number. And if you have a burner, it could be a very, very private way of stacking. Yeah. But you will pay a premium almost always.
Beware, freaks, beware. Next up, we already mentioned it a bit, but Goldman is going to offer Bitcoin exposure to their rich clients. Nothing crazy. Like Joe Kernan said, what the hell's taking them so long? Somebody was Goldman splaining on behalf of them to Joe Kernan. I forget exactly who it was. But it's like, the regulatory scrutiny.
It was their journalist. It was their journalist who got the fucking scoop, man. It was an exclusive article.
And Joe was just like, yeah. It's $1 trillion. They're just getting in.
I mean, and we don't have this on the list, like fucking BlackRock, like just like fucking only they like bought like 6 Bitcoin worth of
6.15. Be specific.
I mean, look, that's a fun number to say because they said 360, but if they were fucking around in January, then the price was between 20 to 30K. So it's actually significantly more than that. But they could have went short as well. We just know that they fucked around with CME about $360,000 worth in January.
I'm running with it. They bought 6.15.
Yeah, particularly. I mean, and they didn't own any Bitcoin anyway because it was fucking CME. It's paper fucking Bitcoin. It's not real.
Hey, it's a step in the right direction. Would you say that exposure?
I don't know. I mean, but I think it was either Ben Kaufman or Ben the Carmen because who even knows which one it was at this point, that responded to the article and was like, I know many plebs that have more Bitcoin than
BlackRock.
And what he meant by that, if I want to translate, is that literally anyone who owns any kind of sats has more than BlackRock because they don't own their own Bitcoin. Like if you're in CME, you already lost the game. They've already lost the game if they're playing with futures, let alone, $300,000 worth of futures when they have trillions of dollars under management or whatever.
Yeah, many trillions. Yeah, it is. You're right. Yeah, pretty weak CME. Very paltry CME futures exposure. No sats on the balance sheet.
That's like you had an intern just like fuck around, They like sent a test transaction.
Well, then
it's not even like a real fucking.
I'm gonna give Rodolfo some shit. This should not be on Bitcoin treasuries.
Yeah, he. This is why I'm pushing back. Right, is that he went into the joke. Right, he put 6.15 Bitcoin into Bitcoin treasuries. Like
remove it, Rodolfo.
We should fork the project. Let's fork the real Bitcoin treasury or BitcoinTreasuriesCash.org.
Hurry up. Look for the domain name. Fork it. Yeah. So, these guys are getting more in. Goldman is allowing. I mean, and the interesting thing about Goldman, not to poo-poo the whole announcement, was the fact that it seems like their customers were begging for it. Like, yo, what the fuck's going on? Like, it seems like we need exposure to this market.
But this is what we theorized, right? Like, not to be like, oh, we were right, but we were right. Like the customers are going to demand it. They're going to have no choice. They have to fucking play the game.
Yeah. Right. No matter how hard they want to grandstand, like the Jamie Dimons of the world want to say it's stupid and all that. Like you get enough high net worth individuals being like, yo, what the fuck? How come I can't access Bitcoin via your bank?
They're paying these guys big fucking money to be their wealth management professionals. And they're getting on the phone with them and they're asking them what their Bitcoin strategy is, and they have nothing to answer. They
It's
look
so
like
brutal.
fucking fools. They look like
Right.
fucking idiots. They got their pants fucking down and they're all gonna fucking scramble to try and get Bitcoin exposure. And people act like they're late right now. Like it's fucking insane. Like after this all plays out, people are gonna be like, this was the most obvious thing ever.
Right.
Then what the fuck is going on, guys? If it's the most obvious thing ever, then why aren't you all going fucking hand over fist trying to fucking get as much Bitcoin as possible?
Because they didn't make it. This isn't their baby. This isn't their, it's a monetary innovation. The biggest step function improvement of a monetary good in human history. And the banking elite had nothing to do with it. It probably makes them a bit pissed off. But like, right? It's like, hey, have you been paying attention to that asset that's had 220% annualized returns for like the last 10 years? Can we get exposure to that, please? Like, can we get some of those returns in our portfolio, wealth manager?
Marty, the best framing that I saw recently on fucking Bitcoin Twitter is you ask the average person on the street, can you comfortably retire with $1 million? They will say no fucking way. If you ask the average in the know person if they can retire on 20 Bitcoin, yeah, they'll be very fucking comfortable.
Yeah.
That's a completely different, that's a framing right there. There's something going on. There's something going on. You should check that out.
All right. We don't have this on the list either, but my ex-boss, Dave Portnoy, he came out this week and said the Winklevi really threw him off course with their gold's going to rain from the skies explanation.
We told him. We warned him.
Dave,
He was warned.
Dave, if you're listening, I know there's some bad beef, not with me personally, but I'm here to help.
Find your God. Dave. We'll dunk on Marty together.
Yeah, you can bring Matt in. He's already been, he's in HQ2, not HQ3, but find your goddamn treasure too, or the seed phrase, please. That keeps me up at night.
As far as I'm concerned, like Dave, you personally can go fuck yourself, but I want to convince you of the path of stacking and being humble and stacking sats, because you can convince so many future plebs to do it as well. Like with him comes millions, you know, and I don't want, I'm watching this opportunity fade away from the average person. And I don't want that to be the case. I want to bring in as many, as many practical people as possible before this thing fucking blows the fuck past them. And it's just super frustrating. Like even in my friends groups, man, like my college friends groups and stuff, my high school friends groups, like I've converted so few of them. They all think they're fucking late. It's fucking crazy. Like what? I'm like desperate. I'm desperate, and there's no reason for me to be desperate. I got my own, but I don't want them to miss the boat.
Neither do I. And I've replicated your group chat tactics, and that's actually been pretty fruitful for me.
I like what you mentioned, that like, you've won when you get someone else in the group chat to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And I have that too. Saturday. Like I have multiple group chats where someone else is the one who's doing it and I'm just like plus oneing them.
Right. It feels good.
The best is when you see the screenshots of like your tweets and shit, just like in the group chat. You come in and you're like, they're giving him Caps Odell. They're just like throwing Caps Odell at him.
But it's like, yeah, in the context of Barstool, it's like, Dave, yeah, you can really help a lot of plebs really materially make their lives better by getting exposure and stacking sats. And I'm not going to poo-poo their business model, but I think it's wiser than gambling, personally.
Well, I mean, he could be on the fucking frontier of value for value too. But
Right?
that's a little bit more. I'm not trying to derail his
Ad
money minting
monetization.
machine over there. You can do whatever you want in that regard. I just want you to understand that when you buy Bitcoin, it's not competing with buying stocks. You're not competing with pen. You're just taking profit. You're just having some savings. You're just going to put some money into your savings account. And it's a savings account that will go up in value, unlike your actual savings account today.
Yeah. Don't worry. I've onboarded one of the Barstool podcast producers on the Sphinx. He's paying attention. So I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of their podcasts experiments with it at some point within the next 12 months.
It would behoove me to not mention it, but Freak Shores Provost has been experimenting with using Breeze to stream sats to us while he's listening. And it is definitely still, as much as I love the Breeze team, love the vision of podcasting 2.0, and I do think that it could be a fucking massive paradigm shift in how content is produced, delivered, and paid for. Like he destroyed his iPhone. Like it was just super hot. He tried to listen to an RHR. We went long. He used 700 megs of data. It was an always on LN node was going on in his pocket at the same time. He got super fucking hot and the battery died. So trade-offs, they're working on it.
Trade-offs, growing pains, pain points to flesh over. With that being said, I don't know if you have this on the list. Do you see Yost Jaegers?
Yeah, it's on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Bottle pay.
Yeah, it is. All right, we'll get to that.
Let's talk about it now. It's perfect timing.
Yeah. So Yost Jaeger had it on the podcast. He did a test basically using the particular use case that we're talking about, streaming sats to podcasters via apps like Sphinx and Breeze, and basically just did a performance report on basically how nodes and channels perform in this particular use case, trying to surmise whether or not it's scalable to the masses. Because right now, obviously, it's a small niche group of Bitcoiners working and using these apps. And so he used LND Bolt with key send payments, LND single instance, etcd, LND etcd cluster, C Lightning, SQLite, signal channel, Eclair, SQLite as well, and transactions per second range anywhere from 4 to 61, C Lightning being the most performative, in LND, Bolt being very good in that 33 to 35 transaction per second range.
Marty, what's the takeaway here?
It takes up a lot of disk space, right? And currently right now it's not that good.
There's a lot of room for improvement is my takeaway. My takeaway is that nothing is without trade-offs, and it's not like we can just scale Lightning forever infinitely and everyone can just stream payments to you without any kind of development work. We have massive work in front of us here.
Yes.
But obviously it scales significantly better than on-chain. I don't think anyone would ever argue with that.
And so this is interesting to take into consideration too. Roast Beef, who's the is he the CTO at Lightning Labs?
Not sure. He's definitely speaks the fastest.
I think we can say that very confidently. He ran a similar test, and I guess what he's trying to highlight is hardware really dictates performance as well. So he ran it on his M1 laptop and got different results. He only let it run at 10K, 10,000 minutes, or 10,000 people, excuse me.
Well, I mean, both of these guys are ignoring the real limitation.
Well, let me explain this and then you get into the real limitation.
Okay, Marty.
So on his M1 laptop, he got 170 transactions per second with L&D B-Bolt and 71, so significantly more on both implementations. He works for L&D, he's building L&D. He was able to produce 6x the amount of transactions per second on his M1. So he says, depending on the hardware it's run on, nevertheless, a nice, basic, easy to run benchmarking suite. That was his comments on Yoast's.
These guys are talking about super well connected cloud ClearNet, corporate cloud ClearNet nodes that are like powerful, and the vision of podcasting 2.0 in my mind, the cool part, right, is the censorship resistance that you can run it from a closet in your home or your office through Tor privately on your own hardware, right? And that is the real bottleneck. We got to hit both bottlenecks at the same time. And obviously, like we're gonna, I want to see performance improvements across the board. But the real bottleneck right now for the sovereign content producer that's trying to monetize on a value for value model, a la podcasting 2.0 with streaming sats, is Tor, is their Raspberry Pi. It isn't any of the stats that these guys calculated.
Agreed. With that being said, I mean, shout out to the freaks listening in the Sphinx tribe right now, our TFTC tribe where the freaks dwell. Incredibly encouraging how many of you are spinning up your own nodes, whether it be Umbrel, Raspberry Blitz, my node, connecting and getting in. It seems like today specifically, there have been a few freaks who have finally got it working and are saying, it seems like the latest Sphinx update, particularly Android users, I think, has allowed me to actually see all the messages and stuff. So yeah, growing pains. These are early days, extremely early days for Lightning, even more early days for, extremely early days for Bitcoin, even earlier days for Lightning. So these pain points should be expected. I say it time and time again. You can't expect to have everything out of the box immediately. It's very high time preference thinking. It's going to take work. It's going to take hard work. Roll up your sleeves, get stuff done. If you're a developer out there listening to this and this stuff interests you and you want to help out, start diving into GitHub, making PRs. A lot of work to be done. A lot of opportunity. You can see it as, it's not as good as I want it to be. Or you could be like, ooh, there's a lot of opportunity for me to contribute here. How are you going to approach this mentally? Are you going to be a poo-pooer? Or are you going to be a get something done type person? You got to ask yourself that question. Which type of person do you want to be?
Get shit done, freaks. What's next on the list, Marty?
You can't see me, so like I was like pretending like I could see you, and it was like a stalemate there of like who's gonna speak first.
Yeah, I have no freaks for the record, especially for the freaks that are coming in through our podcast feed. I have no idea what's going on with Marty over there. I just got this TFTC logo. That's all I can see. And Marty can see me, and the freaks can see me who are watching it live. So
I'm actually naked right now. So
he's completely naked, like a proper pooper-ner.
Poo-pooer. Poo-pooer.
Oh, I thought it was like someone who like is an entrepreneur but is shit at it. It's a pooper-ner.
Ah, I did not say that, but I like that. Matt Odell, another one. God, fucking A, this dude's a marketing
Fuck,
genius.
we're live. I hope someone doesn't get the domain name.
You can't do it yourself because
no one can spell pooper-ner anyway. So like it's a horrible domain name.
Entrepreneur is literally one of the ones where I like spell it out. I'm like, oh the fuck. Right click, look up. Stopping the madness right now. BISC's price trading at a discount. Just want to make you freaks aware. Morgan Stanley. I think we talked a little bit about this last week, but we had the SEC filing. They are officially preparing to add Bitcoin exposure to major funds for their clients again. Another institutional investor finally getting it. Apparently, there's been like a Morgan Stanley rep on Clubhouse who's been extremely bullish over the last week. and is saying that like he got very Bitcoin Tina vibes from what I hear. Speaking of Bitcoin Tina, banned from Clubhouse. Can't have a Nim on there.
The the revelation that Clubhouse like fucking hates your privacy is going to be pretty fucking funny to watch.
Right. I mean,
sorry, freaks.
Yeah. I mean, everybody in the Bitcoin rooms does not go by their real name. So, or not everybody, but most people. Meet us on Sphinx. Sphinx.
Still can't pronounce it.
uh,
Next on the list, Marty.
Our good friends at Brink. Shout out John Newberry. Mike Schmidt gave out their first round of grants. Jesse Posner, they're funding him to support his work on adapter signatures and implementation of the Frost threshold signature scheme, something I haven't heard of. They'll bring additional security, privacy, and functionality to multi-sig and second layer protocols. Alexis Fellini, they're going to fund his work to support his work on the Bitcoin Dev Kit, which he's been working on with Steve Myers. It's great to see. I think Alexis was the starter of the Dev Kit, correct? It's called Magic Wallet or something like that.
I don't know because I thought it was Steve, and then
I think they merged, right?
I just discovered Alexis from this grant. Before this, I didn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I've been following him on Twitter for a while. Great dev to follow.
I failed in that regard.
And then Hennady, Stepanov, who's been a prolific reviewer and contributor to code, the Bitcoin Core since 2018, has received a grant from Brink as well. Vaunted on the Brink website as one of the most prolific contributors to the project. It will allow him to work full-time on Bitcoin Core development and review. Nadi has previously received support from Cardcoins and Payvant. So shout out to the team at Brink again, John Newberry, Mike Schmidt, and Tony Hodge. We got Carla Kirk Cohen, Dave Harding, Jerry Brito on the board there. Carla's been on the podcast before, incredible Lightning developer. Glad to see these guys giving out grants to well-deserving developers. We got privacy for multi-sig, Bitcoin Dev Kit for wallet standardization and review, and just overall contributions. I think that's a good mix.
I fucking love Bitcoin development grants. I love that it's the cool thing to do now. People do not realize, like 2 years ago, it was very, very rare. And now it is very common to the point where people almost are like, really? Another grant? You want to talk about another grant? Like, that is fucking awesome. Fantastic to see. They will be hopefully contributing to the open source dome at Bitcoin 2021. So which I'm championing. So I'm pretty excited about that. And we mentioned earlier, guns and Bitcoin prices are rising. So is Bitcoin 2021 tomorrow. So if you haven't bought your ticket, you can use my referral code HUMBLE, and I make no money off of that, but you get 15% off. So consider it. All caps. Otherwise, you don't get it.
I don't know if you have. Yep, you do have the grant. I look at the list of the grants right there. Gemini is providing $25,000 to mempool.space.
The funniest part about this one is Marty, that is less than 50 million sats.
Hey. All right. So former coworker at Barstool, Beardo, he's now Marshall Beard is now at Gemini. Has been there on their finance team for quite some time, and I've been dev fund pilling him for the last years, and he's been pushing hard internally for this, and this was his first big breakthrough. So I want to give a shout out to Beardo, to Marshall Beard. We have some hardcore Bitcoiners and they're championing this stuff.
No, it seems like Gemini wants to make a pivot to Bitcoin, which I love to see. So cheers to them for that. You have a lot of ground to make up after you shield Link and his
gold
own
rating down
token.
on the earth.
And they also told him they could help him make his own fucking personal token instead of telling him to just fucking stay humble and stack to Portnoy. So.
Well,
and to all his followers, more importantly, to Portnoy's audience. Like, I don't care if you scammed a fucking millionaire. Portnoy can think for himself. But you scammed his audience too, and do better. Be better.
How does having like 1% of the overall Bitcoin supply like affect your learning, right?
I think they should do better and be better if they have 1% of the Bitcoin supply. I have significantly less than that. And I aim to do better and be better. So they should do that as well. Like, what the fuck, guys?
I agree.
The thing is, they have more than 1% of the Ethereum supply, but that's another discussion.
Ooh, are they going to stake that? Probably. If proof of stake ever materializes, and I know that they're technically staking now, but are they really? Are they really, Matt? Is it protecting their network? All right. We're at the software updates section of the podcast. We're going to blow through these until Matt tells me to stop to talk about specific ones. Spectre, I know we're going to talk about. It's pretty massive release for them. And the big thing here, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, is what?
The freaks can't see me. Only you can see
Oh,
me.
one click core tour. There we go. Remember
one click, man. One click. It's fucking built the fuck in. My guide now, I was able to cut out like a huge portion of my guide. You literally you set up your fucking cold card and then you just install Spectre and you just follow the wizard. You got Bitcoin Core in there. You got Tor all set up, ready to go. Follow the fucking wizard. Get to use your own node with keys you control. Easily upgrade to multi-sig. That's the future. That's fucking massive. This is a big fucking deal.
Yeah. Actually, shout out Lou, Late Switch Lou, who's the reason this podcast exists. And he's not like the most technical savvy guy. He sent me the tweet from Ben Kaufman that announced the one click core tour. And he was like, one click core tour. Like even he was like, wow, this is pretty massive. So people are noticing what you're doing, Spectre team. And it is making it extremely easy for the plebs out there to run full nodes, which is what you want to see. And I believe I saw, was it Stefan Livera talking about a friend that was able to easily download Spectre and connect it with their hardware wallet earlier this week.
Yeah. Stefan was bragging about the fact that he got to do less effort to onboard his friend. And I mean, it's massive. This is something that we've been hoping for a while. And low key, a big thing about this is that it then verifies the core install for you. So theoretically, if you verify the Spectre install, what I hope for in the future is, and I've talked to Ben about this and Maurice about this, is this idea that is what BISC does, is once you have BISC installed, it PGP verifies all future installs for you. So if you get that first install right, you're good to go in the future. And that verification step is the step that scares the shit out of most people. This idea that why do we PGP verify? We verify so that we know that at least we're trusting that that nothing changed between the developer and us getting the software. That is a very important step to do. It's more accessible than people realize. It's easier to do than people realize. They should learn how to do it. Bitcoin Q&A, big friend of the pod, has a great guide on it. I think it's bitcoiner.guide/verify software. There is a link to it in my cold card guide. But regardless, my point is, once you verify the software, you should never have to verify it again. It should just automatically verify itself going forward. And including Bitcoin Core in that process just streamlines the whole fucking thing. We want best practices to be the default as much as possible.
Matt, you're being your reputation's being called out in the chat. You're being called Fed Odell.
I know, right? Look, don't go to a conference if you want your privacy, freaks. Privacy advocate, Matt Odell. I never called myself an expert. I'm not an expert. I think privacy is important, but I also think you shouldn't be a little bitch and you should have a good time with Bitcoiners. Okay. And these conferences are fucking fun. They're fucking fun. And that's the trade-off. The trade-off is privacy for fun. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Life comes with trade-offs. Are you willing to take the risk? And on that note, you on the PGP note, UPGB signed the fact that we were launching this at 3 p.m. today, but to prove it wasn't an April Fool's joke. But how does that prove it's not an April Fool's joke? It really doesn't, right?
What?
Your PGP message in response.
Yeah, I mean,
to
I could be an asshole, right? But I just thought it was funny because it lined up with our fake news, like our fake news discussion. I think last week with NFTs, just this idea of digital signatures, right? At least you know that if it isn't at 3 p.m., I fucking lied to you. It was me who lied to you.
I like that. Okay.
Right.
This is the cold card update I was thinking of. Not a hack, but they had a vulnerability that was self-discovered. So they have a new firmware version 4.0.1. Where's it 0.01?
4.0.1.
Yeah, you messed
and
it
you're
up in
only
the show
vulnerable
notes.
if you had already upgraded to 4.0.0. If you're, which was their big upgrade.
Yeah.
If it's not, then you're not vulnerable. I have no idea what this vulnerability is. NVK wouldn't tell me what it was, for the sake of the users, because he's afraid I was going to steal all your Bitcoin. But yeah, upgrade. If you've upgraded to 4.0.0, upgrade to it. I'm sure he'll tell us what it is in like 6 months after everyone upgrades.
All right. Yeah. Just make
But if
sure
you're
you're not
under
on
4.0.0, you're not vulnerable to it.
Yeah. Just make sure
And-
you're not on 4.0.0.
Yeah, and I actually have one piece of knowledge that if you did follow my guide, you're not vulnerable to it. But
Hey.
I'm not allowed to say what that piece of knowledge is.
Now I'm trying to think.
Don't fucking try and dissect my statement. Just if you followed the original YouTube guide with Wasabi, or if you followed the recent text guide with Spectre plus Core, you're not vulnerable to it.
Our boy
But
Matt
I'm not allowed to say
Odell.
why. I'm not allowed
Our boy
to say
Matt
why.
Odell always looking out for you, freaks. Don't say he never did nothing for you. Okay. Don't say he never did nothing for you. Moving on. BIS version 1.6.1 has been released. Running BISC may want to update to that. BTC Pay Server version 1.0.7.1.
Wait, that BISC update was big.
You're supposed to stop me before I get on to the next one.
Okay.
What?
It brought down the minimum to 100,000 sats.
Oh yeah, that was pretty big.
Massive.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah, I agree.
100K sats now is like $50. $60 is nothing.
Ooh, and if you're paying attention to the screen right now, the BISC discount is something you might want to take advantage of. So opened up a Guinness. Gonna drink a Guinness as we head into Easter weekend here. BTC Pay Server version 1.0.7.1 has been released, and this comes with a patch of a bug that was disclosed by Tesla. Obviously, we've been talking about Tesla over the last couple months. They put Bitcoin on their treasury. They announced that they were going to accept Bitcoin as payment for Teslas. And they announced that they actually built their own payment processor in-house. And this week we found out that they helped disclose and patch a bug of the BTC Pay Server software, which is beautiful on two fronts. One, it leads us to believe that they probably forked BTC Pay Server and are using it as their internal payment processor. Number two, they feel so compelled to contribute back to the project, which is an incredible thing to see, and highlights one of the beauties of free and open source software and the network effects that come when you get Bitcoin ingrained in more and more of our society.
We still don't know if they're using BTC Pay Server, which is pretty fucking cool.
Right.
But we do know they contributed to one of the most important FOSS projects in Bitcoin. And as a Bitcoin cultist, one of the most important FOSS projects in the world. So that's fucking dope. That's the power of free open source software. Cheers to Tesla for responsibly disclosing the vulnerability they found. And if you use BTC Pay Server, upgrade ASAP.
Yeah, it was a mess up on their Docker implementation, correct? Wasn't even necessarily.
I'm not sure exactly, to be honest. It doesn't matter. Supposedly, it's pretty critical, whatever it is. They didn't really disclose it fully.
Okay.
They don't even in the change log. They don't mention the specific changes that the disclosure involved. They just mentioned that it was something was responsibly disclosed by a Tesla engineer, and they patched it, and they're grateful. And so we don't know if Tesla's using BTC Pay code. It's probably likely they are, but we don't know for sure. It's an amalgamation if they are, though. It's not just straight BTC Pay server code. And we don't know what specifically the vulnerability is.
Yeah.
Yet. We will eventually, presumably.
All right. So go update your BTC Pay servers. But again, on that note, stick on that note, like this highlights part of the beautiful feedback loop of Bitcoin, right? Like it becomes an integral asset on a company's balance sheet, becomes an integral part of their financial infrastructure, and just the natural incentives of this open source project are such. If you're going to adopt it and leverage it and use it for your business, you're going to make sure that it works and it works well and that it works for what you need it to do. And so you're going to be dedicating engineering resources to make sure that it does all those things. And as you get the Teslas of the world and the Squares of the world, more and more large companies with extremely talented individuals from an engineering perspective on their team, you sort of pull that talent into the Bitcoin ecosystem. It's incredible, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue it goes even farther than, right? It goes all the way down to the individual, because the individual engineer got props for it, right? And it goes on his like permanent record or his resume or whatever. Yeah, just having a solid open source record in an open source world is advantageous for for a developer who's trying to move up.
Yeah. So shout out to Tesla. That was low key one of my favorite stories of the week. Sphinx Relay version 2.0.7 has been released. Sorry for cutting you off there, Matthew. As I said earlier, freaks in the tribe have been highlighting how much performance has improved since downloading the latest version. So if you're running Sphinx Relay with your node, go download that. Sea Lightning version 0.10.0 has been released. This sounds like a major release.
I have nothing.
This is a major release consolidating a number of features, fixes, and experimental extensions. I'm done reading release notes.
They have a very technical release notes. I don't use Sea Lightning. I love that they moved that project forward. I hope that LND isn't a completely dominant implementation. I hope that we have competition and diversity. But I do not use Sea Lightning, so I cannot add anything here.
Okay. All right. I got nothing to add either. MyNode version 0.2.29 has been released. Umbrel version 0.3.8. Zeus version 0.5.1 has been released. Joinbox version 0.3.4. Wasabi version 1.1.12.7 has been released. A lot of points in there. And then HWI version 2.0.1 has been released. And they fixed the Trezor T on device passphrase entry.
Fucking Trezor just breaks everything over
Yeah.
and over again.
I'm sure Andrew Chow loves the people over at Trezor.
Shout out to Derek in the comments. I don't give a fuck. 1.4.7.8.958 is released. Well,
Derek, maybe you don't give a fuck, but other people give a fuck.
Derek,
so
I think
down.
it's important that we cover all the important open source developments that happen over the week while people pretend that nothing happens in Bitcoin land. It might be more common that people cover software releases now, but before Rabbit Hole Recap, few were covering software releases in Bitcoin, if anybody. I don't know if anybody was, but I'm not going to pretend to be the absolute verdict on that. But I think we led the fucking way on that shit.
Yeah. Get him, Marty Zal. Fuck off, Derek. The
Love you, Derek. Sorry.
Rodolfo gave us some props over the weekend. He said he wished like the CoinDesk and the block cryptos of the world would highlight software updates like this.
I've been consulting for Bitcoin Magazine, and it's not a coincidence that they have been covering these things.
Oh.
Let's make a publication that actually is for Bitcoiners by Bitcoiners. That'd be great.
Thank you for your hard work behind the scenes. Speaking of hard work, it's got to be hard work being a spook. Chainalysis blockchain forensic startup raises $100 million at a $2 billion valuation. The snoopers of the Bitcoin chain are valued at $2 billion. Their services, they're providing it, they're thrusting it on exchanges, a lot of exchanges.
Dude, $2 billion valuation for Chainalysis. Can we make that zero? Can we, I'm hoping Jason Kalakanakis is an investor in Chainalysis and they just all lose all their money. I hope every Bitcoin hater is an investor in Chainalysis. Unfortunately, I assume that a lot of Bitcoin lovers are investors and they've just resigned themselves to the cuck mentality that is everyone's going to get chain surveilled and it's a fantastic business to be in. But like what kind of world are we leaving for our children when we say that Chainalysis has a $2 billion valuation? Who are you? What is your view of the future that you think that is a reasonable valuation? And let's fucking destroy it. Let's fucking make it zero.
What are we doing here, freaks? What are we doing here? They're literally trying to de-anonymize the chain to save us from terrorists and drug dealers. Chainalysis needs to save us from the terrorists and drug dealers. Fuck off. Fuck off. What else was I had something else to say.
$2 billion is a lot of money. That's crazy. They raised $100 million at a $2 billion valuation. That's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
That's not just like
I remember what I was going to say too.
Yeah, go on.
They go to exchanges like, hey, you need us to be compliant. And I talk to the guys at Unchain all the time. Like, it's not true at all. They don't need that. They don't need this shit.
Yeah, me pronouncing Jason's last name incorrectly is a feature, not a bug for the freaks in the live chat. Just to let you guys know.
Jason Kalakuknis?
Supposedly I pronounced like Galifianakis.
Wait, was Kalakuknis? Was he on the round?
I have no idea if he was on. I'm hoping he was on the round, and I hope we bankrupt them. Is my point. And also shout out to 6102 Bitcoin. He did a horrible, really a poor April Fool's joke today with all the other poor April Fool's jokes. I just don't really like April Fool's, so I'm a little bit biased about joining Elliptic, another chain surveillance company, and Elliptic liked his tweet, which I just have to say, Elliptic
is that why I said please don't dox me?
Yeah, they are the most. No, that was for something else. No one should ever dox anyone. Doxing.
Somebody trying to dox him?
Yeah, it's fucked up. That's fucked up. Like if you disagree with someone, you try and dox someone, you can go fuck yourself. But I was just going to say something positive about Elliptic, the chain surveillance company. They're more self-aware. They realize they're the bad guys. They realize they're the baddies. Chainalysis, like they think they're the good guys, and they can go fuck themselves. They both can go fuck themselves, but at least one's self-aware.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing? We're gonna skip down the list. Or do we have to? Yeah, we're gonna skip down the list a few. We're gonna go straight to the largest hack.
What'd you skip?
I'm going to MobiQuick, dude.
Oh, but we're gonna go back.
Yeah, we're gonna go back up.
Okay, yeah. The MobiQuick shit was fucked up.
Right? 100 million.
Largest KYC hack ever. Period.
It's disgusting. And we've been saying this time and time again. Again, we love being right here, but not in these instances where being right means that if people have their personal information leaked to the internet and the dark web and all that bullshit. But largest KYC leader is MobiQuick. You had the Tor link. Addresses, physical
Wait,
addresses.
no. I put the Tor link to the actual database link.
I'm not going in there.
Why not?
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see where these Indian people live.
I mean, look,
So
that's
dirty.
the source. That's the source. It is what it is. A fucking 140 million people exposed that's half of the U.S. population. This is one of the most popular applications in India. This is a country that has been very against financial privacy. It's a country that has been very against Bitcoin. And this is a perfect example of the risk you put your citizens at from foreign actors as well as domestic actors if you make them provide intimate personal information to companies to interact with them.
Yeah, and these chain analysis companies are trying to get as much information on this stuff from the exchanges and then give it to authorities on you, and that'll be stored in shitty databases. And like, again, this is the point. The KYC AML does more harm than good. Like, it is objectively true. The amount of funds that have been laundered, that have been prevented from being laundered from KYC AML compliance laws being followed by these third parties is 0.1%. It's 10 basis points of all the laundered money that's been laundered since these compliance regulations been put in place. It is wholly, completely ineffective, and it makes people vulnerable. And again, I don't think you had this on the list, but the River team sent another letter to FinCEN commenting on their intention to lower the limit of reporting from exchanges to the Treasury about how much Bitcoin is being moved by their users. And I think they made a great point. Like, it is extremely dangerous, especially considering the nature of Bitcoin and the public ledger, to collect this data and store it in a database that is likely to be insecure. Like, you like the threshold right at the price at which River wrote their letter to FinCEN for the dollar threshold was like 0.17 Bitcoin. So like $10,000 threshold right now, it's 0.17 Bitcoin. That could turn into millions of dollars within the next 5 years. And if that individual moves that Bitcoin from River, from Cash App, you're not gonna be able to do a Cash App because the limits are too small, but like any other exchange, moves it to personal storage.
That was pretty bad.
And holds it there, and that database gets leaked. It's literally a honeypot of, hey, Marty Bent owns 0.2 Bitcoin, which is worth millions of dollars, and he lives at this address. And guess what? He has a wife and kids. He has a podcast where he talks publicly about Bitcoin and how he custodies his Bitcoin. Like, here, go fucking beat him up with a wrench and take his Bitcoin. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, KYC in general is fucking the illicit activity. It is what puts everyone at risk. And it's going to take our society a while before they realize how bad it is.
What? Why a while?
People need to get burned. People are going to get burned slow and steady. More and more information is going to get posted on the internet, and they're just going to get fucking wrecked. And as they get wrecked and as they get burned, they're going to fucking learn that the solution is we don't fucking share this information with trusted third parties. Like, you shouldn't have to trust super intimate personal financial information in order to conduct regular business or regular life activities. Like, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous expectation.
It's evil. It's projection. It's like, again, wholly ineffective. Like, you can prove this with data. It does nothing to actually stop the perpetrators of these crimes that they're putting these compliance regulations on businesses and individuals to comply with, like it doesn't even stop the fucking crime. It's a perfect example of just how ass backwards things are in our world right now. You have these central authorities trying to micromanage these very complex systems. They can't micromanage them. They can't contain the data that they're collecting. Like, imagine how much data they're collecting, especially as we head into the digital age. Like 100 million people. You have name, first name, last name, middle initial, phone number, social security number, whatever it's called in India, email address, home address, blah, 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 blah.
India, they actually have like a national ID system too, which is super fucked up.
Yeah, it's like how many pieces of data for each individual? Multiply that 140 million individuals in this particular case.
And like there is a generalist argument for KYC in a traditional finance world because it's so fraud prone. They have so much fraud in traditional finance that they need to know who the person is that they can hit with lawsuits and shit and criminal accusations after the fact. But with Bitcoin, because it's a push system, we don't have that issue. Like because Bitcoin is a push system, you're either paid or you're not fucking paid. So you should develop your systems along those lines. You don't need fucking KYC. The KYC is a vestige of this horrible traditional finance system that's just inefficient, mixed in with this fact that people in control want control and they want that control forever. So I mean, there is literally no leg to stand on for people that think that this super intimate personal information needs to be shared with people, period.
Fuck these people, man. And they want to do it more. FATF wants to do more. FinCEN wants to do more. They want to take more of your data. They want to lower the limits at which they can collect your data. It's disgusting. Fuck these people. They're evil, legitimate evil. Like they're literally, it seems like they just get joy in pushing the ball forward with the stuff. We're going to lower the limits, take more data. We're going to collect more types of data. We're going to make it stricter and lower the limits from which you can actually send to personal custody. You know what? Maybe we're going to try and ban personal custody. I don't think like there's any argument to be made anymore that they're actually trying to do this to protect consumers or individuals. I think it's them seeing how far they can push people's buttons and how they can push the issue and how much control they can have over everybody. I think they get like a sadistic like rush of like horniness from this stuff. This is what gets them going, is their control over all the individuals in the world by forcing these evil regulations on individuals. It has nothing to do with actual protection, but more with sadistic sort of self horniness from these people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have to explain to the freaks why KYC is evil. I think the majority of the freaks agree.
They are demons. They're demons. They are demons. We're in a battle of good and evil. These people are evil. They are demons.
Marty, are you narrowing a nuanced topic down to black and white?
No, I don't think so. We just jumped into the nuance.
Yeah, I don't think the majority of people that support it are demons, but I do think that
No, they're demons.
I think it's a very user hostile policy. It's a citizen hostile policy. Period.
Yeah, Hamish, pipe down over there, okay?
Hamish
They're not trying to
dope.
do any good.
Hamish is dope.
What do we got next? We got to go back up the list.
I don't know. You only have the list. I don't have the list. I have
Canada,
my
again, Canada's increasing KYC identity verification guidance. Like here it is. And they're lowering the limits to what? $1,000? Right? If you're a
Yeah,
Canadian, you're completely cucked.
yeah, they made it super strict, and they're going to make it more super strict, and every country is going to make it super strict. Period.
Yeah. So this
It's
goes
going to
into
get
effect
worse and
June
worse
1st.
and worse and worse. They're going to slowly fucking squeeze everybody.
So Canada's in a weird situation right now. Things are getting very Orwellian. They're printing a lot of money. They're putting people in hotels to quarantine them. So the Financial Transactions Reports Analysis Center of Canada, FinTrack, that's what they call it up there. That's their alphabet soup name. Put out new Know Your Customer guidance for virtual asset service providers, also known as VASP, and money service businesses, for money laundering, terrorist financing. So, according to the guidance, VASP must verify the identity of a customer in the following situations if it has not done so previously and kept the associated records. So, again, saying, hey, you got to keep these records in your database. Receiving $10,000 worth or more in virtual currency in a 24-hour period, transmitting $1,000 or more in funds. So, receiving more than 10,000 in a 24-hour period. If you do that, they have to send your information to a database held by the Canadian government. If you send more than 1,000, same thing. Foreign currency exchange transactions of $3,000 or more, transferring, that's the same thing as transmitting, I would imagine. Exchanging $1,000 worth or more in virtual currency. This includes fiat to crypto and crypto to crypto. Remitting virtual currency to a beneficiary in the amount equivalent to $1,000 or more. Yes, they're basically making it hard to send any amount of Bitcoin over $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, not your keys, not your coins, and every single government in the world is going to make the KYC AML shit more restrictive, and this is a perfect example, and it's happening in Canada right now.
Yeah. Shout out to our Canadian freaks. Stay strong. Just get that loser Trudeau out. Dude, it sucks. He's Fidel Castro's son. He's got brown nipples, dude. He's Fidel Castro's son. Have you seen the brown nip pics?
Marty,
you seen the likeness?
Marty sees the faces I'm making at him. I don't fucking know, man. I have no idea here. I'm not paid attention to his nipples color.
He doesn't look like, they don't look like Canadian nipples.
But it seems like shit is not going well in Canada right now, so he should improve that at least. That's as far as I'm gonna go with their politics. What do we have next on the list?
Beware the brown nipples freaks. The paper from our good friends, or one good friend I know personally, Gleb Nelmenko, Alex Birodov, and Sergey Tikhomarov. Butchered those names. I'm sorry, Alex and Sergey. But they basically did a Lightning Network probing of parallel channels attack test, and I think they found some vulnerabilities and have put forward some solutions.
Wait, they've made the fucking Lightning Network their bitch.
Yeah.
You're being very easy on it. And I just want to be clear, like a lot of this shit is over my pay grade. But Gleb is fucking, he's a New York City Bitcoiner. He's like, yeah, we know him. So I don't think this is off base claims, but it is very much over my pay grade.
Yeah, I mean, Gleb's one of the young guns. Him and Antoine Riard, and basically set up a company, a developer think tank, if you will, to specifically do this type of stuff, right? To probe the network with attacks and figure out the pain points and how it can be.
They fucking wrecked it though. They like destroyed this fucking network.
Yeah. So according to their simulations, an attacker can infer up to 80% information regarding channel balances spending in about 20 seconds per channel. The suggested countermeasures limit the attacker's gain at 30% while also increasing the attack time by 2 to 4 times. So they focus on channel balance probing, Does this can they steal funds, or is it just like a privacy?
No, they can't steal
It's a
funds.
privacy thing.
It's a privacy attack vector, and they've reported the fixes that they think that makes it significantly more difficult for an attacker to scale this kind of attack. So props to them. I appreciate them for working on this. And it's just like a very good example to people to let them know there are attackers watching. There are people watching the Lightning Network trying to figure out information about us. There is a lot of information to be had. It is an experimental network. Tread with caution, and try and proceed accordingly. But these kind of papers are super important for us in terms of trying to strengthen the Lightning Network, and make it more private and make it more secure. Because ultimately, a privacy vulnerability is a security vulnerability because one requires the other.
Agreed. And we're lucky to have individuals like Leb, Alex, and Sergey working on this stuff. And like I said earlier in this episode, you're not going to get it all out of the box. It's not going to be perfect out of the box. To expect that it's just unrealistic, right? It's going to take time. It's going to take building. It's going to take hard work. And luckily for us, there's individuals like the developers who wrote this paper that are putting in the hard work, highlighting pain points. Here's how we could fix it. Let's move on to the next one. Where's the next pain point? How do we fix that? Slowly but surely builds into a robust and resilient system. Beautiful to see. And again, like we said earlier, once you get the Teslas and more important companies and individuals with skin in the game, in the Bitcoin game, in the Lightning Network game, that the pace of development and particularly development that helps secure the network increases significantly. So, I mean, the Tesla example is beautiful to see. You bring that engineering talent just for simple payment processing, and they help discover a critical bug and patch it within 2 months, right? When did they get in? Last month, or they get in officially last month or the month before? And they've already patched over a critical bug.
January.
And
it is April. So
it is
2
April.
months ago.
It's April 2nd, right?
No, it depends where you live.
Yeah.
Do you know UTC? No one lives in UTC right now.
UTC always confuses. Whenever you throw
UTC is
UTC
usually
out
London time, but then they go to
They have
daylight
like a weird-
savings. They
yeah.
have their own daylight savings. So then UTC right now is in the middle of the Atlantic. But anyway, I digress. Continue. We have your hard stop coming up, so let's finish this list.
We can, the hard stop is because like my in-laws are on their way down. I'm in their bedroom, but you know what? They can wait.
I love it. The hard stop just became a soft stop, guys. Let's go, freaks. We're going forever now. What's next?
Similar to BISC, which is trading at a discount right now. GBTC is still trading at discount, and close to like the highest or lowest discount, the highest percentage discount. There we go.
Highest discount, lowest premium.
Yeah, well, it's a negative premium.
Dude, it's bad, man. Like what they said they were gonna buy $250 million worth of GBTC, and it didn't fucking move it at all.
Like, how could they expect it to? Like, if I was Barry, I would just like wind down the fund.
I mean, he should at least bring it up to par.
Well, Kenny, that's the question.
He can do it himself. I mean,
why not wind up? Like, how do you not see the writing on the wall? Like all these products that are vastly superior to the product that I'm providing are coming to market. You got your 2 and 20. You printed cash for years, Barry. I think you just gotta unwind this one if you can.
So we have full-time FTB, full-time Bitcoin in the comments. He's saying it's 8.5% right now. It was 15%. If you look at the chart, it looks like it's trending down. One thing I might say is maybe BlockFi is trying to launch a competitor to GBTC. So maybe Barry thinks he can play games and fuck with them and not tank the price of Bitcoin, which I would agree with him. Like, honestly, I don't think Bitcoin will be affected at all if BlockFi died or if GBTC died. If any of these regulated like the lie that they want to tell you Bitcoiners is that any of these compliance bros are controlling the market. Okay. The humble sat stackers are controlling this fucking market. What we say fucking goes. Okay. And as long as we keep fucking stacking and fucking securing it ourselves, holding our own fucking keys, using our own fucking node, they fucking can't do shit. And we can fucking run this fucking price up to the fucking moon. And then there's no stopping us. So if these guys want to pretend like they have control, they can fucking do that. And maybe between them, they think that they can fuck around with each other. But if I was in BlockFi right now, knowing about this fucking trade and how hard they went on this trade and the fact that it's still negative today, the whole month of March, it's been negative. Like, that's scary shit, and ultimately, people can say I'm fudding. People can say I'm creating fear, uncertainty, and doubt among BlockFi users. As far as I'm concerned, if someone has custody of your Bitcoin, you should always feel fear, uncertainty, and doubt, regardless of what the situation is.
Because you're a little bitch who wasn't able to take full responsibility of your finances.
You never know what's going to fucking happen, man.
Be doubtful of your ability to provide. No, like, regardless, like, outside of BlockFi and their exposure and involvement in GBTC, like, again, like, reiterate what I just said. Like, I don't think like it's going to be competitive. Like, why not just wind it down? Like, you had a good run.
They make so much money off of GBTC. The thing just prints money.
But it's not. It has printed money up to this point.
It's still printing money at a negative premium.
Well, yeah, you're getting your management fees, but
the management fee is where they print their money. He's still getting his 2%. He gets the 2% regardless of what the discount is.
Yeah.
Guys still, like, fucking, they're making so much money.
I'm trying to think it through here.
What's to think through? Like, GBTC,
they're not going to get, like, is that two? They were getting that 20%, right?
They were getting 2% of a 20% premium as well.
Yeah.
They were getting both. They were getting their 2% was coming out of a premium. So they were getting the benefit of both.
Yeah. Maybe. So, but like,
yeah, the end
is there an argument to be made that they're not following their fiduciary responsibility?
No, the end goal is they're trying to just get to an ETF.
Yeah. Obviously, they have like ETF, like 17 ETF positions on their job board right now. So they're not really hiding that.
I don't think anything they've done so far breaks their fiduciary responsibility. I don't think they have any fiduciary responsibility to BlockFi customers who are trying to arb their premium and got caught.
I don't think so either.
And I don't think BlockFi's, whatever their raise was, changes the game at all in this respect. And I understand that people can say I'm fucking fudding. Whatever. I don't fucking give a shit. Not your keys, not your coins. If there's no issue, then there's no issue. Withdraw, hold your own keys, wait to see that there's no issue. If there's an issue, then they'll be pissed off at me for saying that. If there's no issue, then there should be no problem with you just requesting to withdraw your coins, just holding them in your own custody and waiting to see how this fucking plays out.
Godspeed. I'm happy I don't have that stress to deal with. This is extremely cool to see. BTC transcripts. Wow. BTCtranscripts.com. Just a collection of transcripts from events in Bitcoin, conferences in Bitcoin. Obviously, if any of you know, like, the most prolific transcriptor in the Bitcoin space is Brian Bishop. I think a lot of this is his work, but there's others who've contributed as well. I believe Michael Fulkerson, a bunch of others. And if you're a visual learner and you like to read and you want to go back through Bitcoin archaeology and just things that have gone on throughout Bitcoin's history that have been transcribed by people. There's a website out now, btctranscripts.com.
It's really cool. They're on GitHub if you want to submit transcripts yourself. So,
Yeah, it's community maintain. I don't know how anybody could try transcribe any of this stuff, especially live.
well, a lot of the transcripts are for recorded content, though, Marty.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of Brian Bishop, like he does it live in person.
I know, yeah, that's super impressive. But like, shout out, like all the freaks, like they're looking for translations and stuff. Like, if you can provide transcripts for recorded content in your local language, that's a massive benefit to the project. So go check that out.
Yeah, go check it out. I think Mike Schmitty might have put this together. So
I think he did.
yeah. I'm seeing the maintainers, the contributors on the space. So, it was Adam Jonas.
Oh, it was Jonas.
Michael Folkelson, Eric Sossman, Duncan Dean, and Carly Crisco. Thank you to you guys for putting this together. It's an incredible resource. Adam Jonas, I miss you, bro.
New York Bitcoiner, let's fucking go.
This monk, I can't speak. Yeah, I get 2 ciders and half a Guinness deep, and I can't fucking speak, freaks. It's been a long day. This Month in Bitcoin Privacy by our good friend Janine is out March 2021. So if you're interested in This Month in Bitcoin Privacy, Janine has been putting together the top stories as they relate to Bitcoin and privacy in her mind for many months now. I think over a year at this point. This week it's 7 stories. FATF is on there. Join market privacy bug fix. Quick and discreet lightnings and DLCs. A lot of information on there. Go check it out. We have the link in the show notes. And speaking of DLCs, our good friends at Short Pits, particularly Nadav Cohen, who entered in a bet with our boy Ben the Carman, a price bet, particularly using multi-oracles, one being Pierre Richard, the other being Bitfinex, and the third being, who's the third, Matt? You gotta pull the blog up now.
I don't know, dude. You're the one looking at it.
I think you're supposed to remember this from memory.
I remembered Pierre.
I think it might have been Kraken. Let's see.
The key aspect is that you can use DLCs in a way where you have to check multiple oracles, and if it falls outside of the range, then it fails. Yeah.
So you basically, if you engage in a discrete log contract, for any of you freaks who are not well versed on what that is, it's basically a smart contract in which you engage with a counterparty. So if Matt and I wanted to bet on the price of Bitcoin next RHR, the beginning of next RHR, we would pick oracles. So back up a little bit, like the DLC implementation has been revolving around single oracles, where you pick one oracle. Like, say we bet on the price of Bitcoin, we say, hey, we want to take the Bitfinex price at the start of our.
What's an oracle, Marty?
An oracle is somebody who serves you data to basically say what happened to the particular event, right?
So what is the price of Bitcoin, or who won the baseball game?
Yeah, exactly. And the problem with that is you don't want one oracle that could potentially feed you bad data. You want to have redundancy there, and make sure that you're actually getting good data. And as you're engaging in these discrete log contracts that automatically release sats to the winner when the transaction is signed, you want to make sure that the winner is actually winning and the data is actually true. And one way to make sure that is true is to pick multiple oracles and make sure that they're you basically distribute and reduce risk that way, because it's harder to hack multiple oracles than it is one. So one big worry with these setups, if you're doing a single oracle, is, hey, what if that oracle's hacked and they feed you bad data, and somebody knows what bet you're engaged in, and they intentionally hack that oracle.
Or a better example is the election, where you have people who disagree on the outcome.
Right. That's a good point.
You want to
Right?
have multiple oracles. You almost, there's no situations where you want to have a single oracle really. In general, you want to have multiple oracles. This is called the oracle problem. This idea that how do we connect the real world with Bitcoin? There's been many shitcoin schemes that have been designed to try and incentivize to a solution to this oracle problem. This so-called oracle problem, this idea that like, how do you know what the truth is? But really, a very simple, clean solution is that you just have multiple people, multiple organizations and people be those oracles, and you need to have a overwhelming majority of them to settle any kind of dispute. Um, and you have a reputation system built into that as well, hopefully, to rate those oracles appropriately. Like how do they respond to any kind of situation? You don't have to solve this idea. You just need to have like a very straightforward
Robust.
way of handling it. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you distribute risk amongst. Yeah, and I think it's like a beautiful thing, especially when you compare it to, God, what was the prediction market coin on Ethereum that
Augur.
Augur? Yeah, they like attempted to say they solved the Oracle problem. But they didn't. Like the Oracle problem, I don't think it's ever going to be solved by a blockchain. Does Chainlink solve the Oracle problem?
No, I mean none of these guys. That's what I'm saying, right? Like
Yeah.
the simple solution is you have multiple trusted parties and you kind of create a reputation system around them, and you build that whole system in a way that you don't expect any individual participant to be trustworthy.
Yeah. And the beauty of DLCs too is that the oracles don't know that you're actually using their data to attest to your discrete log contract. So they can't know that you're entering, like, let's say Matt and I bet like 100 Bitcoin on the price of Bitcoin next week. Arguably Matt could go to one of the like, never mind. That's a bad example, but the Oracle can't see that we're in a 100 Bitcoin bet unless one of us goes to the Oracle and tells them. So that it sort of reduces the incentive for the Oracle to try to cheat when they're feeding data, right? They don't even know that their data is being used to attest particular DLCs, which is really cool. And so Short Bits came out with the blog, the multi-Oracle DLC deep dive, and Nadav, who's an extremely intelligent individual and a great developer. I've had him on the podcast before. Chris Stewart, actually the last live podcast before COVID happened. He basically describes how this Oracle setup works. You pick an Oracle. You basically have, this is Oracle number 1, number 2, number 3. We're going to try number 1 first. If the data falls outside of a standard deviation from the others, we'll go to the second one, and blah, 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 blah. And if all 3 of them fuck up, then you just don't follow through with the DLC. So there's fail safes there as well. We're going to link to this, read it in the show notes. And that was it for the list, Matt. How do we do?
I think we did. I mean, I don't even. We did horribly. We've done better in the past. We aim to please, freaks. We aim to please.
Horribly.
I'm just trying to be critical of ourselves. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Ministry of Nodes. If you have any issues with your current setup and you're trying to be self-sovereign, you're trying to use your own node, you're trying to hold your own keys, consider reaching out to our friends over at Ministry of Nodes. Catan is fucking killing it over in Australia. I spoke to him earlier today. They work on the value for value model. So if you think they provide you value, I expect you to give them a substantial compensation for that value. But they will hold your hand and they will help you be sovereign. So consider going over there.
Definitely consider it. Check out the Stefan Livera podcast too. I actually caught a bit of the Parker Lewis episode this week. A great one on Bitcoin definancialization, or how Bitcoin leads to definancialization more articulately. Putting out great content. It never sleeps.
I have one more thing, Marty.
Go for
Moscow time.
it. Moscow time right now, according to Clark Moody's dashboard, is 1,702 hours.
Should we explain to the freaks that might not have been aware on Bitcoin Twitter what we're talking about?
I mean, I think your tweet was the dunk of the century. So Jack Dorsey, disclaimer, Square company's CEO, sponsor of the pod, was pulled in front of a Senate hearing committee. Senate committee hearing. Wow, I can't fucking talk. And to talk about like social media, free speech, and all that shit. And he did it from his kitchen with a block clock in the background. And the blue checks were very confused. What the hell is this clock? What's going on? And one in particular, I forget his name. He basically surmised. He was like, "Wow, what was it, like 1592? It was the sats per dollar.
1952. Right?
1952 was the sats per dollar at that point. That was the stat on Jack's block clock." And one blue check mark was like, "Whoa, that's the time in Moscow right now." Jack is
at like 7:52 p.m.
Yeah,
right?
Jack is coordinating with the Russians. He's a stooge. Like this is massive. We're making a breakthrough here. He's pushing it in our faces, like not knowing what a block
I
clock
think
was.
this literally happened while we were recording RHR last week, because I came out of RHR drunk and I went onto Twitter and I saw this blue checks take, and then I responded in all caps, LMAO, nailed it.
Nailed it, dude.
Fucking hilarious, right? Like they hate us. They hate us so much. Why do they hate Bitcoiners so much? What the fuck, man? Like,
Again, it goes back to envy. It's something cool that a lot of these people think they're going to fix the world. They don't realize it's not going to be them. It's going to be Bitcoin. It's not going to be us.
But this guy didn't realize. He didn't even hate us. He had no idea. That was the hilarious part, just to be clear. But they do all hate us. Unfortunately, the blue checks are all short Bitcoin, so they're going to have to deal with it.
Well, they want the blue checks again, like going into that, like you hopped in, Alex Gladstein hopped in, was like, "Yo, dude, like I want to make sure that you're like not looking like an idiot. Like it's a block clock. Here's a link to."
Oh no, I just completely fucking tried to ratio him. I was not being friendly, but Gladstein was being friendly.
No, but the point I'm trying to make is like he just dug in further. He's like, "No, you're wrong." It's like
he doubled down. Yeah, he doubled down.
It's like, no, I actually have one of these at home.
And then he tried to like brag about like he was like, "I lost all my money in Gox." It's like, okay, congratulations, bro.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
But like, why didn't you buy back in? Like, what were you doing? What happened?
Yeah. It's going to be an uphill battle. These people hate us, I think.
Honestly, I don't know like what Jack was thinking, publicly broadcasting with a block clock in the background. Like, what a fucking asshole. You know, like who would do that?
Who would ever do that? No, but actually it's pretty based. He was like liking tweets during the hearing.
It was so good. He liked my LMAO, nailed it. And then the guy like tweeted out, he's like, "Jack liked this. I told you I nailed it."
Blue checks. He had his profile pictures avatar. It's like very similar to the one guy who wanted a vasectomy 7 years ago because he was crying in an airport because of all the energy that he was using as he was flying, wound up having kids, and then big hot tub user as well, and complains about energy use. They have like the exact same shitty hair and blue shirt set up. There's like there's some physiognomy.
Keep trying.
Physiognomy. We're gonna end it there, freaks.
I love you all. Honestly, guys, like under 60K is going to be a flash in the pan. I know you guys think it's been a while, but it hasn't been. And I hope that our humble stat stackers have taken advantage of this because I know I sure as hell have been less than humble and just gone balls to the wall in this range. Bitcoin is something else, guys. And I love being a part of this with all of y'all. And stay humble, stack sets.
Love all y'all too. Keep stacking. God, we love you guys. Keep fighting. Draw the line in the stand. If you're a strong man or a strong woman out there, stand up. It's time. It's time. We need the strong men and women to stand up and speak their mind. Speak your mind. You shouldn't be afraid to speak your mind. You shouldn't be afraid to put these ideas out there. And don't let them cattle herd you into a false framing of a black and white. Pick this side or that side. There's more nuance to the world. And I'll admit, maybe the fat of people aren't all demons. There may be one or two in there, though.
Can I end it with a shout out again?
Yes, sir. I mean, Phil, we already played the shout
What's
out.
up, freaks? It's David here at the Houston Bitcoin meetup. Big thanks to Owls Lacrosse.
Send me
and Jeff
$50
for
more
putting this
worth of
together.
sats, please.
Happy to be the first audio shout out on TFTC. I'll pass the phone around to a few people and let them say something.
What's going on, everybody? This is Scotty. What the hell is the next pub, mate?
What up, freaks? It's Phil Gibson. Have fun staying poor, and maybe get a stat fundraise so we can send Marty to speech therapy.
What up, freaks? This is Ben the Car Man. I don't know what to say, think about this, but go buy some Bitcoin.
What's up, freaks? It's Owls Lacrosse. Bent, we expect to see you here soon. You're always a crappy lacrosse player, but we're proud of you for all your oil field mining, making sure that the oceans don't boil like that bastard Nick Carter wants to do to everybody.
I've been like listening.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Peace and love, freaks.